I had a really cool idea come to my mind, and I thought I'd share it with you guys today. I was thinking about this, and I see a lot of times when there's an old piece of code in C#, especially in the old 4.x framework, how do you get that into a newer context? Because a lot of times the programs are written in such a way that it's just one big schmozzle of code. It's not easy to read. Today, let's take a look at that. Hi, my name is Frank Thomas. I'm here to give you some tips and tricks when it comes to coding. And today we're going to be hammering away at an MVC C# project. Let me just give you a quick tour of the product itself. It's something I wrote a number of years ago called FlexiBudget. And it's basically a simple budgeting program. The idea was spawned out of the idea to make budgeting and figuring out what you need to have to pay bills effective based upon when you got paid. You know, for example, right now, if I look at my calendar for August here, I have rent coming out as an expense, but I don't have any paychecks coming in. So let's just see here. Let's move ahead and take a look. Yeah, we got nothing here. So, okay, so let's create a new deposit. So I'm going to say we're going to have payday. Payday is always good. And let's say every payday you get paid $2,800 and you get paid bi-weekly. And this would be what you got coming home, so you can base your budget upon that. And let's say the next payday is the 11th. And let's just move this a few months ahead. The program will figure it out. We'll choose a color of gold because it's payday. And we say save. And it comes back. And there we go. So now we have paydays. Now, the interesting thing is we can go in here. We can take a look at the payday. We can look at the deposit status on that. We can see that our rent is automatically, or actually for this payday, our rent's not coming out on this one. Reason why is we have a payday here. So let's just take a look at our rent, and let's just edit our rent. We'll edit the whole series, and to kind of give you an idea of some of the functionality, this is an expense, and it's a monthly expense, of course, and they have one of two options. They can either withdraw payments based upon the last deposit or across deposits for that period. And it just makes it a little bit easier for somebody to actually pay a bill, especially rent, because if you have rent coming out on one paycheck, you could be broke until the next paycheck. So you know, budgeting is a little more tough. For this here, they also have the ability to change the color for the whole series. They can send text reminders or email reminders, and the idea behind that is if it's a bill you have to physically go pay, like when you're paying your rent, you might go to your landlord and say, oh, here's the check, Mr. Landlord or Mrs. Landlord. And yeah, so that's the idea behind it. So it'll tell us if there's any problems here. It's saying to us that there's the rent has not been completely paid out. So you can see there is some problems to the program too, and those are the things we can hammer out, because it should have actually hammered these out. I think if we edit this here, the whole series, and we turn around and save it, what it'll do is it'll go back and then recalculate based upon the deposit being there, but it should have done that automatically for us. So let's take a look at our paydays here, potential problems. Okay, it's still not showing that it's being paid. So there's something on the go there. So we're not sure what, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so there's a few problems with the program, and we'll figure that out as we go. But what I really wanted to show you here is not necessarily the program. I want to kind of give you an idea of what we're playing with. And if you're wondering, the calendaring here, very simple. At the time, I chose to use the full calendar functionality here, and pulled it up in that, and that's what I was using, because it probably was a slam dunk easy thing to do. Easy is always good. But here's what I really want to show you. So what's happening right now is if we look at the whole application, we have several different sections in here, but nothing is really standing out. It's kind of, we look at the accounts by out of the box, because this I pretty much wrote out of the box for some of the sections. All the functionality is sitting right inside the controller. And as you can also see, let's look for a code here that would be, actually let's go underneath the calendar. Let's say we're editing a parent event here. You can see that some of the stuff has been pulled out, but what's happening is we are looking into and we are newing up using, this is legitimate, but there's better ways to do this using dependency injection and such. We are newing up the classes that we need to get things done. Okay, and when we look deeper into those classes, okay, we go into those classes. What's happening basically is we're doing everything in here. We're handling all our events, all our bits and pieces right here. Now, fortunately for us, this code is simple enough that it's not such a bad plan. But the problem is, what happens if you want to do good unit testing? What happens if you want to split off a piece of this program? What happens if you want to change things? It becomes quite difficult. And even still, even one step further, you notice that there is absolutely no asynchronous nature to anything. So when we're calling the database, if that database is being held up for any reason, our program freezes. And that's not a good thing. We want all our events to be asynchronous. That way we allow the processor to handle more calls at any one time, because if there is a holdup in the database or something like that, the asynchronous call will handle it for us. As well as, it's not very clean. It's using a few things in here that are a little bit old, a little bit of, it does need some cleanup. As you can see in the application, there's some definite problems with the code base. And then you can see here, every time we need something, like when we need our application DB context, we're newing it up as part of the whole class here. Fortunately for us, I've seen lots of code where that newing up actually happens right in the controller class. Like when you get into here, you look in the constructor and you're seeing that you're newing up everything you need right in the controller. Now, it's not really exposed to the world, but it kind of is. A better and cleaner way, again, is to demark and to separate your functionalities. Make every piece of code do one thing really well. Make every class handle one objective really well. Make every folder handle one functionality set really well. For example, you would have general services, which would be services for handling all the different things you have to do. And in those services, you would have like an expenses set of services. You'd have a deposit set of services. You would have a messages services, all different kinds of things there. And what would happen then too is we would also split off our servicing of the services. So let's say we would have a user manager service that we could spin off. And that would allow us to set up the classes that we want to see them and make it really easy for us to access things. So we have code doing the same thing in multiple places, but only one instance of it. And that's really important. And what we can do is we can use tools like dependency injection going forward to actually haul up those bits and pieces that we need as we need them and tear them down as we don't need them. So it's like newing up, but it does really help clean up things for us. And it also, when we're using dependency injection, a little hidden feature which can torment programmers intensely is in dependency injection, you can't have cyclic dependencies. You can't say A is dependent on B is dependent on C is dependent on A. It won't let you do that. It'll throw an error. Sometimes those errors are a little tough to find, but it is possible for you to new up A to B and B to C and C back to A. You can do cyclic functionality, which there is a place for it, and I have written programs where I've needed that cyclic nature, where you can actually go in and have a function call itself or call a parent to get to continue doing something. And but it's a very, very small use case. Using dependency injection gets you away from that. It basically protects you from doing that sort of thing, and because that can end up in creating really nasty bugs, because it's not a compiler bug. It's not something the compiler is going to pick up. It's going to be something that will happen when they're running the program and they cause the server to throw up, because all of a sudden you have a bug that calls itself over and over and over again and it inhales all the memory in a few seconds or faster. I have seen that. But the whole idea behind this whole project that we're going to be doing over the next few videos is we're going to be looking at this program. We're going to be fixing the problems that are in the program. We're going to be looking at building dependency injection into the box. We're going to be looking at separating our classes of art apart so it follows the solid principles. We're going to be looking at adding in the component of unit testing, which is really handy to have. Just tons of things we can do here. So stick around. I know the question is going to be, can I have a copy of this code? Unfortunately, I'm going to say no. I would say take these lessons as they are. This is a commercial program, and it's something that I'm going to be actually using in a future event. So please forgive me that I'm not going to share this code, but it's kind of the way it is. I hope you can take the lessons as they are, and I hope you enjoy what you see. So stick around for future videos here. Like I said, we're going to be diving into this pretty deep and looking for ways to optimize. We're going to be looking for ways to make the code very compliant towards a microservice bent, and make it so maybe one day we can move it over to .NET Core and put features in, maybe get rid of the JavaScript features and put in Blazor features. We'll see. I don't know where we're going to take this yet, but it opens up a large vista of things we can do. For me, my big thing is I would like to see this ported over to .NET Core 8, which is the version coming out late in 2023, which is the year we're in right now. And eventually rewrite the whole interface so it follows the Blazor trail, so to speak, and make it a little sexier looking, and looking at re-commercializing the program. So I hope you enjoy the journey, and make sure you stick around. Frank Thomas here. If you found that this video was interesting, or this is a series you'd be interested in doing more, please leave your comments what you'd like to see, or like the video, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Again, thank you. This is Frank Thomas, and have an awesome day.